Hello, Master Reviews here, but for a video that isn't necessarily a review. Um, honestly, I was debating whether I should talk about Eyes of Wakanda. I saw it and I thought, and I wasn't so sure whether, with what I watched, whether I could do a full review of this because, it's only 4 episodes and I don't know. I don't really know what to really, if what I can say is a full-on, review, but I can at least give my thoughts of it and just say what I thought of of this mini series. And yeah, I just thought I might as well go along and do that and everything. Um, yeah, so this is basically this animated series is basically like a prequel series, it's a building prequel series, setting up a bit more of how Wakanda operates with their war dogs and all that, and what they've done all throughout history and all that when they've interacted with events in the past. And um, for what it is, it's fine. It is interesting to see where, well, with each time period that, well, these agents are sent on to retrieve stolen vibranium and all that. It is interesting to see how they handle things, what they do, what they learn out in the open, who they interact with, whether they be actual historical uh, people from your history and or rogue Wakandans who have seen the outside world and want to just and see themselves profiting beyond Wakanda's borders, and or interacting with other characters in the Marvel comics, sort of. I'll talk about that later. Um, but yeah, the it's hard for me to really gauge on what I if on these characters themselves because you really only see them. We only get see a few for one. None of these characters are central all throughout the series. They just are centered on one episode, and you have to really with shows like this where you're showing agents, but individual stories and all that. You really need to set up the characters and as you know in a very it has to be a long episode, go for an hour. We get an idea of what these characters are, their personality and all that, and why we should be rooting for them. But I don't know, I don't really get that with these guys. Maybe a little bit of the prince in uh in episode 4, but that's really about it. The others I really couldn't care about for those Wakandan agents. Um, And I mean, although I will say, I can't really get into the characters themselves, the environments they travel in when with each time period, whether they be in you know ancient Greece or Rome or China. I find that those all that stuff interesting, all the Himalayas, I think. Yeah, but that's all good. Um, the characters they interact with, they're fine. I mean, we do get to see Iron Fist for the first time, well, a variant, I should say. I don't know about much about Iron Fist. Iron Fist is one of the characters in Marvel Comics I don't know much about. I know bits and pieces, but not much. So when I saw this version, I was like, yeah, whatever. I can. I didn't know what to really think. So people in the comics, if you know if you like Iron Fist, let me know. I'm a little bit unsure about what I think about it. Um, and I think the big thing I got to keep in mind is, well, okay, I should mention one thing. I'm not a big fan of this animation style. Even, I mean, the look of What If and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, they worked for me. It felt like, yeah, it was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it felt like its own thing. It didn't have to look ultra realistic. Well, should I say, as close to real life actors and all that. But the designs for the faces for everyone in this just weird me out a little bit. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know if this was a decision from the animators or Ryan Coogler or whoever, but I couldn't really care. I didn't really like the way these characters' faces looked. It was just, eh. And I think the one thing I will also say is that with the final episode, the one thing I wasn't so sure about was whether this was going to be set in an alternate universe or whether this is taking place actually in the past of the main timeline. And we do get the answer in the final episode, and I wouldn't say I was that pleased with it. Like, I mean, I didn't like it. I was like, okay, whatever. But it's hard for me to really say because I don't really care for that stuff. I would have been okay if they didn't do what they did, but I guess you can sort of see where this is going. And I mean, Wakanda can create this technology that establishes how the grand mission is being orchestrated by the people in the background. But yeah, and I should mention there's no appearance of any Black Panther in this. In fact, there's no characters referenced in the films until the very end, where you see one shot of one character in the lead up to his story, the beginning of his story, and I'm like, whatever. Yeah, it's a very tough show for me to series for me to review because I don't have much to say because it's only 4 episodes and really, what did I gain out of it? I'm sure if you like Wakanda and everything and you want to see how the bit see a bit more world building for it and what they've and how the nation operated in the past and all that, you might get some good stuff here. But I really wouldn't recommend it as stop immediately and watch it. It's just it's whatever. Like I really wouldn't give anything higher than 5 out of 10. Really, I wasn't. If you like the show, great. But I didn't really think it was anything special. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I think this. I'm not really technically reviewing this, just giving it my thoughts with a little score at the end. But yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, in terms of what's next, I will get onto main reviews. I've got. Well, might as well get onto the next movie I saw in theaters. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. Yeah. But in the meantime, House of Prince Reviews is out, and I shall see you for the next video. Ciao!